Hey guys, you're listening to the Sunavageek Podcast.
Sunavageek!
Hey, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Nabzif.
Hey Nab, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Not too bad. We've changed things up a little bit. We don't have Zio in today. Zio's got to be heading off to work, so me and Nab are going to be hanging out.
Yeah.
And, having ourselves a good time. At least that's the dream.
That's always a good dream to have.
So Nab, what have you been up to this last week?
Well, not a whole lot in particular, doing some filming here and there. But in between that, I've been playing some Civ 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a new update for that not too long ago?
Yeah, a little Pirates of the Caribbean style minigame or whatever scenario you want to call it.
Oh, interesting. Because they did that Battle Royale, The World's Ended.
Yeah, Red Death
thing.
Or something like that.
Yeah, did you try out that at all?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was like a mix of Fallout meets Civilization for a bit there.
So how does the Pirates one compare to that?
The Pirates one's definitely more of a Civ-like game versus Red Death, where you're constantly trying to just kill off the other teams. The other one, it's, okay, who can amass the most gold for Pirates of the Caribbean style? Okay, find the treasure map, sink battleships, gather crew, and rule the isles, whatever you want to call it.
So, do you start out with your own little section of land? Kind of like a city?
No, you don't get any cities, and you're only allowed one ship initially and one crew, whatever you want to call it. You can head to taverns at the local shipyards of England, France, and all of them. You're going and trying to steal their trade routes, plunder them, whatever you want to call it.
That kind of sounds very similar to how Sid Meier's Pirates was. It was an older game that, God, it's been a long time since that came out.
Yeah, I want to say so.
I'll have to check that out then. Because how long has that been out for?
Maybe a week now.
Oh, okay.
Not that long.
Because the update I was thinking about was, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I think they added some new, or I think they modified some different mechanics for a new DLC that came out for the game.
Yeah, there's abilities to shuffle all of the tech trees. It's pretty cool. Very confusing at first, but it's pretty cool, especially if you know that most of the tech tree is going to be hidden from you. So you're kind of looking for the tech instead of, okay, here's the tech that's required to get this.
So then could you get futuristic space stuff, early on? If it's shuffled?
It only shuffles in between eras. It leaves the eras separated. I want to say it also goes and gives you the prerequisites beforehand, too, so you can't get future tech before you get anything else.
Oh, okay. That actually sounds really cool.
It gave it a sense of okay, this is what your civilization would be growing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll have to convince the other game members. I don't know. I don't know if the others have it. Do they have Civ?
I want to say Thane does.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. That'd be kind of in Thane's alley.
Yeah.
We'll have to try and convince the others to do that, and maybe do that for a stream or a gameplays thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be awesome. Mostly, I look forward to crushing Zio. That's what we should all do. We should all just talk ahead of time and band together and just destroy Zio within the first 20 turns of the game and just kick him out of it. And then the rest of us will all just casually and carefully play the rest of the game and make it last hours and hours. And we'll have a great time, but because Zio's dead, we'll tell him he has to leave voice chat too.
Poor Z.
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I see nothing wrong with it.
Completely.
So, do you have a Switch?
No, the closest thing I would have is an Xbox One.
Oh, okay. Because I just... excuse me, I got a bit of a cough still. Getting over the flu. And it's not COVID. I got checked. And I'm fine. I don't have it.
Yep.
In the East, with the Nintendo Switch, there's a company, I don't remember the name of it, but it does a lot of streaming for different high-end games that you wouldn't be able to normally play on the Switch. So it's a streaming service where kind of like Xbox Game Pass, where you stream something where you can stream games to your phone. Just instead,
that sounds like Google Stadia.
Yeah, it's very similar to how Google Stadia is set up. Except you have to you buy the game as if you purchase the full thing, and then it gets streamed through the web service to the Switch, so they can play a lot of high-end games that can't actually normally be on the Switch. But we just got our first one out here in the West, Control, with all of its DLC and expansions.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so that's out on the Switch now. But there's some people are really unhappy with the idea of it because it's going back to when you first finish the demo or you purchase the game, there's a screen that comes up and it gives you a bunch of information that basically sums down to you're not buying the game, you're just kind of like buying the rights to play the game, so that if the streaming service ever decides to shut down or stop, then
you can't go after them for the game.
Yeah, they'll give you at least a 6-month notice so that you know the game's no longer going to be available on the Switch. So like if they decide to shut down their service or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's kind of iffy territory. Like gray area, if you will.
Yeah, because it's tough. It's the idea of buying a game and not knowing how long you're going to be able to play it for. It seems kind of tough. But I mean, we get that kind of stuff with MMOs all the time. I'm sure if Steam ever decided to shut down its servers, then we wouldn't have access to all the stuff that we've bought on Steam. It's I don't know why I just feel so against it.
Yeah, it's sort of like if you're told, okay, you're going to pay full price for this, you may or may not get to keep it for a while, or until you're bored, whichever comes first.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of games that I've played on previous consoles, like the GameCube or the Xbox 360, that I don't play anymore. Mostly because I just don't have the hardware to be able to hook it up to a modern TV. But
yeah.
I feel... So it feels like it's very similar to something like that. Because when the next generation of consoles usually come by, I don't normally play games from the previous generation.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason why it's different is with that kind of idea with the different generations, it's like I've made the choice to no longer play the game, or I'm not playing it because I haven't gone and purchased the little attachments or things needed to be able to play it on like the new modern TVs. So
I guess that's where emulation and all that kind of fits back into the weird gray scale of gaming. You can play all the older games that no one seems to care about anymore, but some people do, etc.
Yeah.
I personally enjoyed the GameCube for what it had, but don't really have the attachments, like you said, to own and play the games.
So, did you grow up with the GameCube?
Yes, it was GameCube. I got around 7. It was pretty cool. Got a few Sonic games on it. Got 1 or 2 racing games, and then Lord of the Rings didn't have a whole big library of games. Didn't have any of the good classics, that's for sure.
Oh, was that the Lord of the Rings one where you'd kind of pick a couple different heroes and you'd level them up and you'd gain new combo attacks, essentially, as you played through the game?
Yeah.
Oh, I really enjoyed those.
Yeah. I never beat the game, though. I think the game soft-locked at the end. And then I accidentally deleted the save file.
Ah, that would have sucked.
Because yeah. That was way too many hours poured into that game to go, well, you deleted the save file.
Did you ever play Star Fox Adventures?
No, I never played any of the Star Fox games.
Because most of the Star Fox games were all space and flying your ships around and shooting stuff. But Star Fox Adventures was it came out, I believe the reason why it came out was the success of Ocarina of Time. because it took the Star Fox characters, but then it recreated the world, or it created a game with them in a very Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time theme.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. The almost Dino Planet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know, talking about the GameCube, it's, I've recently been thinking of picking up the stuff needed to be able to plug in my GameCube so that I could play that game again, because I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Just curious, did you ever play the Metroid Prime?
Yeah.
I never got really into it. I'd get to the very first level of the game, beat it, get past the little boss, and then freak out at the end and go, nope, I'm not, nope.
Was that the first 3D Metroid one, or was that the one where you've got
yeah,
where
that
you
was
got Dark
the
Samus?
first I want to say that was the first 3D Metroid. I may be wrong, but I know it was the Metroid Prime was one of the first ones I ever knew, and it was sort of the first horror title to me.
No,
because
that's fair.
It was full of jump scares back then, at least to me, and I was like, what?
Yeah, no, I definitely can see it coming across like that. It was definitely, it definitely had its moments where it was very kind of like dark and broody, and there was those strange creatures that you'd have to fight in it as well. It could very well come across as like a horror or a scary type game too.
Yeah.
I never actually owned it growing up. I had a friend that did, so I saw him play it a little bit. I never beat the game. I think I'd borrowed it and I played through the first couple levels, but I never got super far into those ones.
Yeah.
I think it was the third one that I played a fair amount more of. And I think that was the one where you were where you were fighting with, I don't remember something happened and Samus got infected by something, or there was it created like a dark version of Samus.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were fighting through trying to get rid of this infection or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was either. And I played the Game Boy or whatever you want to call parallel to that game.
Yeah, that was the side-scrolling one, right?
Did you have any favorites on the GameCube?
Did you ever play, I think it was called Crazy Island or something like that?
Doesn't ring a bell.
It was kind of like oh, sorry about that.
No, I was just saying I didn't think that rung any bells for me.
Because I think, so what it was this mini game styled, it was kind of like a Mario Party mini game styled game. You didn't travel around the map or anything like that, but a lot of the mini games were kind of similar to it. But one of the differences for it was it had kind of like a spore creator. So very similar to how Spore create, like the game Spore, you create like your different creature, and you kind of evolve it, and it grows, and you can add other things to it.
Oh yeah.
It had a creature creator very similar to that, but you would choose like from a couple different frames, and then you would create like these little bits of the body and like extrude it and like stretch it out. And then you would attach all these different little items and pieces to it that you collected through the single-player story. So you could kind of create all of these different weird, awkward creations. Me and a couple friends, we would play that for hours, creating the most ridiculous or grotesque creations, and then play these insane mini games with these weird creatures. And we had a lot of fun with that.
Sounds cool. I might have to look that one up.
I think it's got to be Crazy Something. I know it's considered like a cult classic. Last time I looked it up, to buy the game, it was like $150 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, Amazing Island. That's what it's called.
Ah.
Pretty sure it should be Amazing Island. That's what it sounds like. I just googled Crazy Island GameCube and Amazing Island came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure the one. Because you could choose different like textures and stuff for like the skin of your character, so that it would gain different appearances, and you could put like horns or claws or masks or like different like bone things on them or wings. And I don't remember if the different items affected the creature differently, but yeah, there were different frames that you could choose for the bodies that affected its different stats, and it was really cool. I think there was different fighting parts in it too, so depending on what you chose, it would change the element of your creature too, so it would gain different element abilities.
That's cool.
But
almost reminds me of the Chow Garden from Sonic Adventure 2.
Chow Garden?
Yeah, there was a whole little raise your little Tamagotchi pet style mini game or whatever you want to call it inside of Sonic Adventure style 3D platformer. You'd collect the little collectibles, like little pet animals that you would feed, I guess, or give to your Chow or Tamagotchi, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Who would then gain those animal characteristics, where it would then either race for you or do a karate style combat with those weird new limbs, etc., that usually ended up growing.
Weird. And what console was that on?
GameCube.
Really?
Yeah. I want to say it went over to Wii at one point too, but that may have just been me thinking of the fact that you could play GameCube games on the Wii.
Oh, okay. Oh, it looks like the Chow Garden came back in a few different Sonic games.
Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure most people remember Sonic Adventure 2's because of the weird diversity you would end up with.
Oh,
where you
okay.
could make almost a chaos style looking one, or angel gardens, or whatever you want to call it. There was whole other little rooms, etc. It was weird, but
that's really cool
in its own way.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out, because those different games that have those little elements are always weird. Because it's something very, especially in Sonic Adventure 2, like it feels like something very, very separate and different from the rest of the game. What was the point of it in Sonic Adventure 2?
It was really a callback to the first game, I want to say, but it was a way to get emblems, or whatever you want to call their collectible for the game, where you would gain further points towards that. But it was really just a little fun mini game where you would collect the in-game monster body parts or whatever that flew off after you destroy them, and okay, here you go. Here's your weird creature thing. You can feed it to the Chow if you want.
Okay, so it's just something added on, just
to add on.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping an eye on the Halloween sale on Steam?
Yeah, but I don't really have the money for all that.
Okay. Because I don't remember them doing the Halloween sale last year.
They did, but it was very slim. And I think it got overshadowed by just regular sales.
Okay. Because I know... Yeah, because I don't remember seeing the Halloween sale last year. But this is also right around the time for the golf course where our hours get really, really busy.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have been why I missed it last year then. Because there's a lot of really good sales on it. Like, Vermintide's down for really cheap. Through the Woods is really cheap. Looks like you can get some Sims 4 stuff as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. But I mean, talking about prices of games, did you hear about the new price hike for the next generation of games?
No.
They're all going to be another $10 more expensive.
Wow. And this is all going to still be digital downloads, right? Or are they doing discs? I can't remember if that was something talked about.
Well, there's a digital version of the PlayStation, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a disc version as well. Same with Xbox. And I think wasn't there something about one of the two, either PlayStation or Xbox, where you just have like a 100% digital version of the console, where basically you like buy. I think most of your console is over the internet, I guess you could say, where it's kind of like streamed to you.
I know the Xbox One, if you had a disc, it would download the game off the discs onto the console. So that might be what they're doing.
Okay, that makes sense. I think they have to do the same kind of thing for PlayStation. Or maybe they're not doing the same kind of thing with that. I'll have to look more into that. I don't remember too much about that stuff.
I don't usually look into the whole Xbox and PlayStation little war they have going on. Because they usually end up one-upping the other for a little bit just for the other to come back with the same thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've gotten a lot. It's kind of changed over the years. I know they don't consider it like a console war, or at least the way they talk about it is that they don't consider it that. And it's less about. It seems like it's less about one-upping the other. These last two generations, it's just been more of them just kind of talking about theirs, or if one makes a. I know, because what was it? There was something when the Xbox One came out, and they were talking about always online. With the last generation, Sony pretty quickly and almost immediately after came back with, by the way, ours are not always online. To, because there was a lot of unhappiness and hate coming towards Microsoft when they first said that. So Sony kind of capitalized on that, which was great. I don't know if I'd consider that. See, I don't know. That stuff could be considered part of like the console war, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think one of the really only console wars was early on, back with Sega and Nintendo. And the whole Sega does what Nintendo doesn't. Or I don't. It was something along the lines that I can't remember. We did a podcast on that a while ago.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah,
something
that's
like
what
that.
it was.
Yeah.
So, do you play a lot of strategy games?
I prefer them. They're pretty cool to me to go and just see the moving pieces and where they usually end up going. How about you?
Oh, I love them. Have you heard of Stellaris?
Yes, it looks cool. I just don't have it.
Okay. Because I know Stellaris is one of my favorite games. And they just came out with a new DLC pack for it. It's called Stellaris Necroids. So it's about... Because Stellaris is like this big, grand, 4-time strategy game where you're basically growing a civilization or an empire, starting out from like a small little planet, expanding outwards. And they have a new species pack where you can play as Necroids, which is an intelligent undead species that live in death to the fullest. So you can, you get to, the way they say it is it'll allow players to form empires that thrive where others might perish. And there's a lot of stuff to do with, like fear of the afterlife and like the undead and, like different cults and reanimations and stuff, which I think is really exciting. And it makes me excited for it. Because one of the really cool things about Stellaris is anybody can have, whoever's hosting the game, whatever expansions they have, everyone else gets to play with. So you don't you don't get locked out if one person has all of the expansions and someone else just bought the game. The only thing that it changes is if they bought all these expansions that unlock different like types of civilizations or acts or stuff like that. It's all of this, anything that's unlocked in like the civilization creation, like the thing that you do before going into playing an online game. All of that is, you're stuck with whatever you've purchased, but anything that's unlocked like in the game, whether it's new events or things you can interact with or find out in the game itself, then that's all whoever
available.
Yeah, it's all available, which I thought was a really cool thing to do.
Not many games do that.
Yeah, I'll have to see. I might have an extra key for Stellaris from Humble Bundle. I'll have to check about that and send you one. I absolutely love that game. So what have you been playing recently?
Besides Civilization, not a whole lot. Tried Rocket League here for a little while.
How'd you?
Been getting ready for. It's very competitive. That's all I can say.
Is that what's being streamed this weekend?
Yes.
Nice. I might actually be able to make it for that, and I'm really excited. I've played a lot of Rocket League.
Oh, cool.
I really love the game.
I am doomed then.
It's fine. We'll just team up together, and we'll just take out Toll and Zio, or whoever else is playing.
It's just Thane, Toll, and me so far.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because that's for us recording the podcast right now.
That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, but for everybody else, it was the weekend that just passed.
Yeah.
I really like the move they did with going to free to play. I think that was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't launched it up since free to play, so I don't know, because they've changed a bunch of stuff for how progression is in the game, I believe, or they've added different ways for it and different things for monetization, but I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of, if you want to go and get this certain type of skin, you have to go and buy it with their in-game currency. It's weird. But it's at the same time, it's not that much different.
So, okay, well that's not so bad then. I was worried it was going to change a lot into... Well, games can get kind of pushy when they go to free-to-play. Although pushy might not be the right word for it. But they can start...
They become more centralized on their in-game purchases.
Yeah, which I mean is completely fair, because they've got to make money to be able to keep the game going. And they've got mouths to feed and people to pay money.
All that. Yeah.
So, I'll never hate on a game for going that direction. But, oh shoot, one of the things I really wanted to talk about today, and I forgot about that, was Genshin Impact. I
saw that you talked about that on the last stream.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a couple podcasts as well. So what do you know about Genshin Impact to start with?
Very little. I looked up the game because I was curious what you guys were talking about, but not a whole bunch after that. Blah.
Okay. So Genshin Impact is it's a mobile gacha game. Do you know what a gacha game is?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's styled in a world kind of similar to how Breath of the Wild is, where it's open world, you get to move around and explore. But it's got a lot more RPG elements to it. So, plus you've got, with the gacha elements, you've got a party of 4 that you always get to move, adventure around with. And you can change it in and out for all of these different gacha characters. As you explore around, you gather different items in these different experience things so that you can fight things to get experience and then apply the stuff to your characters to level them up, to make them more powerful. So that you can fight stronger creatures. And I was having an absolute blast with this game. Going around exploring was fun, fighting things were fun, but I finally reached the end point for at least for not for like the end point of the game, but just for me enjoying the game.
Yeah, gacha games kind of have a low shelf life after getting them.
Well, what slowed this one down for me is Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games ever. And I loved how you could just explore the world, go anywhere, and you'd just come across things, and you'd be able to solve them. And then not being able to solve the problem or defeat a creature was all just down to you not being prepared enough for it. But with this, with Genshin Impact and the RPG elements, it now came down to me not being a high enough level for it. And then you'd have to progress in very in different ways to be able to get yourself to unlock the ability to level your characters up higher. So you'd be kind of stuck in these different zones and traveling around, and there's all these different dungeons, which the dungeons are really cool. They're built very similar to how the Breath of the Wild ones are, but There's a lot less for puzzles, and it's more of just going in, fighting some different stuff, climbing and figuring your way to get to the next area so you can fight other things. And there's so many of them, and I'm sure there's a lot of them that are really cool. But because of all of the level requirements, I'm locked out of being able to really go into any of them. And I think it was... I think I've played the game for about 8 hours, and I'm not even at a point where I can do many of the dungeons. I've been able to do 2 of them so far.
Wow.
I mean, I know if I haven't done much with going through the actual story of the game, and I'm sure going through there I'll get other dungeons that I can unlock and I can do, because there's been a few dungeons where I can't actually do them in like the exploring mode, but when I'm going through the story, there's like a story dungeon where I do that and then it's done and then it disappears and I can't get to it again. But it's just how the game kind of locks me down, and it feels very grindy for progression, where in the open world game like this, like how it's open world like Breath of the Wild is, it kind of tricks me. Or maybe I'm just so used to Breath of the Wild where I don't like being locked out of being able to just explore and do all these different things. So I've fallen out of love with the game.
Yeah. It's started to become a grind to actually do what you want to do.
Yeah. And it kind of sucks too, because I think the world design of Breath of the Wild is better, but Genshin Impact populated the world with these beautiful cities and these beautiful locations that make the worlds really exciting to go and explore and find these different locations. Like there's a big city with like these with a massive amount of buildings that you get to kind of walk around and explore. There's also this it's this big giant tree with almost like these treehouse like structures that kind of come up and around and hang up at the top of it that you get to explore as well. And they do a really good job of adding all that in. So at first I thought Genshin Impact felt more alive than Breath of the Wild because of all that. But there's something about the simplicity of Breath of the Wild and the random encounters of just like people traveling down the roads that you come across that I think, as much as I really wish Breath of the Wild could have had like some really interesting cities, I still think Breath of the Wild... I take back what I said before with Genshin Impact feeling more alive, and I'm going to go back to saying Breath of the Wild feels more alive than Genshin Impact.
Yeah. It's more... It has the visual appeal of having more stuff to look at, and almost hypothetically say is more lively in that sense, but you have more organic encounters and more organic gameplay with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it.
So, have you heard of the game called Dwarf Fortress or RimWorld?
Yes. I have played a lot of RimWorld, a little bit of Dwarf Fortress.
Ah.
What brings that up?
It was just going off almost sci-fi-esque open world feel, since RimWorld I really enjoy looking at. It's a cool game to watch, etc.
So you've played it?
Don't have that game. No, I haven't played it. I usually watch the games I would like to try, but don't end up buying because, well, you know.
Well, nothing wrong with that. What is it about RimWorld that interests you?
It's the fact that it's open world enough that you can do whatever you'd like, but in the same way you can build up a little empire or do whatever you want without feeling like there's too many possibilities. You have an objective that you can go for, but there's a whole bunch of ways you can modify the game. It's really cool. You can almost play the game through the eyes of the characters you're controlling, or just play it as if you were playing any other game. It has a nice element to it in that sense.
How long ago did you discover RimWorld?
I want to say it was like 6 months ago, maybe longer.
Oh, okay. So when you discovered it, it already had the that the big world map.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when they added all that stuff into the game, that was really sweet. Because you can have multiple different... I think you can have multiple bases now.
Yeah.
You can go on different journeys to go and try and find other different locations. Meet other travelers or other people as well. Sometimes have, like, random battles through the map, too.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, they did a really good job of letting you do kind of like what you were saying, anything that you want to do. Or if you just want to sit there and hunker down and build a base, you can do that. If you want to be a wandering nomads, you can do that too. Like, you can... There's so many sweet things then. Have you seen much of the tribal version of the game?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but not a whole lot.
Okay. I could never decide what I liked more. Because there's the normal way you can play the game, but then you can also be like one of those tribal villages that aren't advanced, and it locks or it changes your tech tree, and it adds some new things, but it locks it down into like the primitive aspects.
Yeah.
Which is really sweet. I've never actually beaten the game. I've always eventually died.
Yeah, that whole increasing waves thing kind of gets everyone in the end.
Yeah. Oh, the one that used to get me the most was there's an event where there's a random chance in your world to have a section spawn where there's these different sarcophaguses, and it's like this. You have the choice of like opening them up or just kind of ignoring them and leaving them there.
Yeah.
But if you ignore them, there's a chance later on they'll just open up, I believe, or something will happen with them, something from them will start affecting your people. But if you open them up, there's a chance of like getting a person or unleashing these creatures that are just gonna destroy your whole map, and it's insane, all of the stuff that they've got in that game.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite people that you watch for those things?
I can't think of the people I was watching for a while, but I have kind of petered off from that at the moment since been busy with other stuff and haven't gone back to it recently. Just thought of it when we were talking about all the Genshi impact and all that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been so many sweet things like that. What other kind of games are you watching?
Not a whole lot. I just usually watch what appears to be interesting. More often than not, that's strategy games, kind of exploring the idea of, okay, here you go. What are you going to do? What's your story?
Yes. So the kind of games that you really enjoy are more of the open-ended ones where you kind of get to make your own story for it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Dwarf Fortress, or whatever you want to call it, that's similar to RimWorld, is actually getting a Steam release soon. So that's going to be interesting.
Isn't there... I don't know if it's out yet or if it's just been talk about it, but I heard that there might be like a graphic... like a new one coming out where it's not just like the text, where it's actually got graphics now.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
It's coming to Steam.
When that comes out, I might pick it up.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, because the way that the style they did it before, I had a hard time getting into.
Looking at it.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah. I ended up modding the game from the official site, whatever you want to call it, to where it would have textures from that weren't letters and numbers and all that.
Oh, okay.
So I could never figure out the gameplay for the life of me. I could get to digging, and that was just about it. The rest of the time, the dwarves were just drinking themselves out of beer and then going, well, now what do we do? We're hungry, we're tired, and we don't want to go and live out here.
Because in Dwarf Fortress, you don't really control the dwarves, do you? You just set tasks.
You micromanage them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
They're interesting to watch. That was another game I watched big time just off of the fact that I can't remember the guy's name, but he had whole fortresses based off of, okay, here's the idea, we're not going to be doing this, we're going to be building only armor and stuff to only be this armory that's out in the middle of nowhere, or take over that, or we're in the middle of an ice cap building out, the world's ended, yada yada yada.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, it's like RimWorld in that aspect. You don't have to do anything, or you can interact with the entire world. There's a whole world map you get to generate and everything.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Because I knew the game was fairly advanced in just the different elements you could interact with. And just kind of...
They even just recently added a D&D campaign mode where you can go and play as the little dwarves and go from settlement to settlement, battling monsters, going through the cities, etc.
Really?
Yeah. Never tried that mode because like I said, I could never figure out regular Dwarf Fortress, so I wasn't expecting a lot of luck with that.
Yeah, but that's still awesome.
Yeah.
There's so much more to that game than I ever thought. Wow. Okay. I'm even more excited for the Steam release now. Because I'm assuming the Steam release is going to have everything that the Dwarf Fortress had, but it's just a graphical update.
Yeah. It's just more or less a user-friendly graphical update plus some maybe hot fixes to where it no longer looks like a giant mess of commands. They talked about adding a more or less tutorial to teach you things in-game instead of, okay, you gotta look this up or learn it as you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would definitely help out, too. So, if you're big into those games, have you played or seen much of Factorio?
I'm not sure. I think I saw one or two things about it, but wasn't big into it.
Oh, really? What was it that didn't interest you?
It's the whole, okay, you can micromanage, but okay, what's the actual point? You're just getting larger and larger accumulation. Yeah, it's satisfying to do, but what's your end game here?
Yeah, for Factorio, I don't know when it was that you saw stuff for it. I know there's an end point now of like building a rocket ship to get off the
I just saw really early gameplay of it then.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what Factorio, you're building the factory and slowly expanding things out so that you can eventually get to the point of building a rocket ship to get off of the... That might be... Because from the stuff you're saying, there might be something to recheck out again, because that one's...
Yeah.
It's changed a lot since then. Have you heard about Eco?
Eco, yeah, that looks interesting. Haven't really looked into it too much, but keep seeing things here and there about it.
Eco's one that I'm really hoping one of these days that we do like a game Discord event where we get like an Eco server for a month, and then we all work together to save the planet and hopefully not destroy it. Because for anybody listening that doesn't know what Eco is, Eco's a really interesting game that came out a little while ago. It's been, I think it's out of early access now, or maybe it's still in, but there's tons of updates that it's been coming out with. It's on update 9.1, so it might be out of early access. What the game is it's kind of like I think it's just like a simulation game. I think it's the best way of putting it. Is there another genre you'd give it?
Almost a 3D Minecraft simulation.
What? I don't know. We can't even really say... I guess you can kind of say Minecraft. The building...
It has that appearance just from the pictures I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, so what Eco is it's like a little planet that you spawn on. And in 30 real-life days, an asteroid is going to come down and strike the planet. Eventually, they're also going to have a volcano that is going to erupt. And some other different disasters, and then when you go to start it, it'll be a different disaster that chooses from. But you have 30 days to go to figure out how to stop the disaster from wiping out the planet. And
without killing the planet.
Yeah, and along the way, you are slowly building up a civilization. You're a single character. You're going around. You're harvesting different resources so that you can research what you need to advance your technology and eventually build a device or a multitude of devices to be able to stop this disaster from occurring. But while this is happening, there is the planet is an entire ecosystem with many ecosystems inside it. And everything that you're doing is having effects on the ecosystem. There are plants and animals that are living and breathing. If I played Eco a long time ago with a group, and we started out the game and we didn't really understand how it worked, so we just started playing it how we normally play video games. We ended up hunting the rabbits almost to extinction, which caused the foxes to die out, which caused another species to die out. Eventually the rabbit population came back up, but the foxes never were able to recover. We also couldn't find enough berries to be able to do certain things, and it slowed down the progression of the game to the point where we couldn't do anything because we were slowly killing out this ecosystem of creatures. From there, we were cutting down too many trees in a section of the planet, so then that area started to become more of a wasteland. Like the green grassy land was slowly turning to sand, and it wasn't until we unlocked a government where we were able to start implementing bills and laws that affected the mechanics of the game, where it made it so that you couldn't hunt in a certain area, or you couldn't cut down a tree, you couldn't cut down a certain type of tree in a certain area.
I think I'm gonna really enjoy looking into Eco then.
Yeah, like it was amazing, and we started building up different stuff. Thankfully, we never had to worry about pollution, because I don't think there were enough people on the server for it to be a major issue. But you could definitely see the rise in pollution, because what's really cool is you've got your server for the game, but then they've also got websites that you can go to that it's connected to the server, so you can go into it and you can look at graphs of information. You can pull information about what's happening in the world and to see how things are being affected. You can vote people into government in different areas, and they've advanced it so much now too, where everybody can have their own plots of land. You gain different things to collect more plots based on how you're progressing through. And then when enough plots of land are in a specific area, you can then create like a town. And then when enough towns are formed, then it can create like countries in different areas like that. And you can have multiple different countries or zones beside each other, and then like a world government on top of that. And all of the legislations from each thing like pass down into each zone. And it's so complex, but it's done in a really simple way, so it's easy to understand. And it's so cool how everything ties into each other.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good little experiment to go and run, that's for sure.
Yeah, because one of the issues we had when playing the game is we never had enough food for people. Because we didn't really understand how the farming worked. So it forced a lot of us to start working or moving towards food. I ended up picking up farming, and then eventually we ended up getting currency, and then so everybody had their own little currency for their own stuff, which was causing issues, and nobody was able to buy different things. And so we were slowly kind of working towards like our own market, and it was just
sounds like a little bit of chaos.
Oh, it was chaotic, but it was one of my favorite things that ever happened. Like, I love strategy games, but the one thing I love the most is games where I get to make money. Because I I love profit. The idea of it is exciting.
You're the Scrooge McDuck of the world.
Well, no, not the Scrooge McDuck. I like playing games where I get to learn how the market works, and like buying and selling and creating goods, and then taking the profit to like turn it over into other products. And that is why I think that's the reason why I'm most excited to play Eco again. Is to start my own store and start selling things.
I'm really tempted to go and try and get that game now.
Oh man, well, let me double check that too. Here, I just opened up Humble Bundle. I'm gonna see if I've got a key for Eco.
Because that just sounds awesome.
God, I love it so much. It doesn't look like I've got Eco. Do I have Stellaris? I don't think I have. Oh, I got one. Here, I'm going to send you a key for Stellaris.
Oh, thanks. Didn't have to do that, man, but thanks.
Well, I mean, I own Stellaris already, and because I have a Humble Bundle, so every month, I think that my subscription's like $10, or it's like $15. I've had Humble Bundles since the beginning. So every month there's like 13 games that come out, and when you get a subscription to it, I think you get to pick 2 or 3 games, but I have one of the really old subscriptions, so I get to pick 12 of the 13 games. Because it's like because that's how Humble Bundle used to be, is you'd have the subscription, you just get every game from the bundle.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there you go. That's Stellaris. Hopefully that key should work for you. It doesn't look like I have Eco, but yeah, we're gonna. God, I just want to play it so much.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's in beta right now for $30. I'll have to go look into getting that one day.
Oh, wow.
For the beta, it says.
Okay, where are you looking at it?
From the official site of PlayEco/buy. For one Eco license, it's $30, plus you get an in-game icon.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess, the price did go up a bit. I think it was $20 when I bought it, which would have been like $15 for you guys. But yeah, it's showing up as 28. I guess it's $33 on Steam right now, but it's 15% off, so it's like $28 Canadian. Yeah, I'll get a bunch of stuff for Eco, and I'm just gonna start spamming it at the different game members, and we'll see if we can get them interested in doing it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. We're pretty much running out of time here for the podcast. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
All right, well, then I guess everybody, thanks for hanging out. We had a great time, I think. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For the longest time, the podcast has always been just 2 of us, because we were always unsure if having more people was going to make things more chaotic, because when we first started doing the podcast, we were always just kind of like talking over each other, but as we've all done content over the years, we've all kind of, I think, evolved, and we're not all just like yelling and constantly just talking over each other anymore, which is nice. So it's been I'm excited to have more people on the podcast as things progress on. So,
yeah, who knows? I might be coming back for another podcast.
Oh, you're for sure gonna be here for many podcasts in the future, Mr. Nab.
Hopefully.
But more importantly, one of these days we're gonna play Eco, and I'm gonna build a store, and you guys are gonna buy stuff from me, and I'm gonna make billions of dollars, and then I'm gonna live in a rich mansion, and I'll look down on you. Never in like in a bad way, but just from perspective.
Billions of spend dollars will go straight to your vault.
Well, yeah, because depending on how it goes, I can name my currency anything I want. It could be spend bucks.
Ah, spend bucks.
Yeah, because people want to spend those bucks. That was really dumb. All right, bye.
Bye.